and welcome back to the Sentence Patterns on your computer with your host, Mr. Duffy. Again, before you begin, remember to write down the date next to the sentence patterns for your own organizational purposes. So we've covered a couple of different styles of sentence patterns, and what those are allowing us to do in our writing is to have more freedom in our writing. Sometimes you have two nouns doing one action, sometimes you have a noun doing two actions. Sometimes, in the case of a sentence pattern 4, you have two nouns doing two actions, generally simultaneously or at least very close in the sequence. We'll talk a little bit about that in a second. So sentence pattern 4 starts off with a noun, capitalized, and a noun, plus an action word. Again, for time's sake, I'm going to use AW. You may do either AW or write out action word, your choice. Plus a detail. And then a period. So, for example, we have the goose and her babies swam and played by the water. So the two actions and the nouns are occurring simultaneously or in at least very close sequence of one another. You can see the goose and her babies both swimming and playing in the water. That makes sense to the reader. You can visualize it. It's not something completely different like the goose and her babies flew and walked on the road. That technically works because it fulfills the action word and action word, but the overall sequence of the sentence doesn't make sense. You're also going to want to be careful of this running into a run-on sentence, depending on the length of a detail you put. If you're writing these, I wouldn't advise using two sentence pattern 4s closely with one another because that will overload the reader and it will give them a lot of work to do. And that's not the idea that we're working on right now. Okay? So make sure you're paying attention to that.